Hello. Hello, TechFest. How are you doing? My name is Dylan Hart, and I'm a fashion designer and digital fashion designer. And my fashion house is called Temporary Malfunction, and that is based around breaking its stigmas on mental health. And so, just quickly, why that's important. In the UK right now alone, people of all genders under the age of 35 are more likely to die from suicide than any other cause. So yeah, it's a really big issue, and I feel like fashion is just such a conversational art form. So, and in order to break stigmas of mental health, we need to speak about it more. So I think we have Mo Casso from Las Vegas on the line live, and I'll give you a quick introduction. Hey Mo! Hey, can you hear us? Hello? So I think we have
That's a bit delayed.
things that lagging.
It's a bit delayed.
Hey Mo!
Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. There's a bit of a lag, so there is, but it's cool, we'll deal with it. So yeah, just introduce yourselves to the beautiful people of Glasgow and maybe tell us a little bit about
Can you hear me?
rock.
Oh, there you are. Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. There's a bit of a lag, so there is, but it's cool. Introduce yourselves to the people of Glasgow.
Okay, so yes, there's a lag. So I am Mo Casso, the founder of Raw Down, where we focus on educating, networking, and transforming physical to digital. So I myself, I turn my tie-dye t-shirts into NFTs, and it's an amazing journey being able to collaborate with other designers, builders, and creatives in the space to build a future that works for us all, as I like to say.
Yeah, awesome, cool. So yeah, our new collaboration and project is called Seeing Things in a Different Light, and we are looking at PET, that stands for Positron Tomography Emission Scans. And what these brain scans do is give us visuals of brain activity, and sort of, as opposed to maybe like an MRI scan that's looking at the physical flesh of the brain, abnormalities in there, such as tumours and stuff would come up. Whereas PET scans shows brain activity, so in the mind. I'm just going to read out the definition of the mind. And that is the element of a person that enables them to be aware of the world and their experiences, to think and to feel, the faculty of all consciousness and thought. So I feel like that always does quite a good job of expressing sort of like how complicated it is to study the mind, and these scans are just making it like a bit easier. There's been a recent study from Stony Brook University, and they are conducting a research, a 5-year-long study with a £2.5 million grant from the National Institute of Mental Health, and they're using PET scans to look inside the minds of those with depression to study. The study is related to how inflammation in the brain is related to depression, and hypothesises that depression isn't a unity disorder, but rather a series of different brain abnormalities that can lead to what looks like depression. And that's from Dr. Pacey Della, Chair in Biomedical Imaging, Director of PET Research, and co-director of the Neuroscience Institute and principal investigator of the study. Further, we believe that one of these brain abnormalities is tied to inflammation. We further hypothesise that those patients with the highest amount of neuroinflammation would be more likely to respond to anti-inflammatory medications to treat depression, and that's from Stony Brook University, which is the State University of New York. Furthermore, PET scans are being used to show differences in brain function in those with mental illness and those without. These differences mainly appear in the prefrontal cortex, the amygdala, the hippocampus, the striatum and the thalamus, which are all areas of the brain controlling emotions, feelings, happiness, gratitude, and control sort of chemicals such as serotonin, etc. So, yeah, we looked at these scans as inspiration for fashion design and created some physical garments, some digital artwork, NFTs, and yeah, so I think I'll hand you back to Mo for a second and she can tell you a bit about her creative process for the project. When she gets from the lag.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Dylan. Again, I think there might be a little bit of a delay, but I did hear all of that. And it has been such an inspiration to be able to work with you and bring such a powerful message into fashion. And as a tie-dye artist, I love being able to pull inspiration from a place like PET scans. Again, something so scientific and something that we all use and that makes sense. And pack it with fashion, merge it with fashion and tech and say, hey, we have a message to share. You guys are, captured by the fashion, but also catch this message that we also want to bring in. So for me, my process was really looking at those PET scans and finding like a color pattern, right? It starts as simple as that with tie-dye, looking at what kind of designs I want to make and what kind of colors I want to use. And I actually used some new techniques with a wrap actually to make the patterns on the tie-dye t-shirt. And when I was looking at the PET scans, the biggest thing I was looking at is what is the difference that I'm seeing here between quote unquote the average brain in a situation and a brain that's suffering from anxiety in that same situation. And looking at it, it was the colors, that really captivated me the most. And how one that was suffering from anxiety, there was so much red in it. It really sucked out a lot of the other colors, like the blues and the greens and the yellows, but it was just so much red. Whereas average brain, you see a good mix of all of the colors. And so when I was looking at that, I'm like, it just reminded me that in those times of anxiety as well, that's how we feel, where it's like just, engulfed in this feeling of, where is the light? What's happening right now? You're only seeing this one thing. And so being able to really capture that and feel how, in that moment when you're suffering from anxiety, it might feel like a lot of one thing, but if you keep pressing through, you will find that light and you get through the other side. So being able to show those two sides and show how those two sides can also come together, it was really great to be able to create a powerful message like that.
Awesome, amazing. So yeah, this collaboration started off in Las Vegas with Mo. She started our tie-dye and then she shipped it over, and then I do a lot of embroidery work, and we both use neon mediums, and the neon glow under UV lighting. So I just thought it was a very good way to sort of look at things in a different light. You'll see the garment that we made in a minute in the film next. And yeah, so I think medically and all this science stuff is really cool, but for me as a designer who has revolved around breaking stigmas on mental health, I think these scans are important because they really give us a visual, right? Because mental health isn't, it's not like a broken bone, although sometimes just as detrimental or even more detrimental. So I think being able to actually have a visual and say, look, there is actually differences in brain activity, sort of eliminates that sort of stigma of that it's not a serious, or the mental illness isn't a serious condition. So yeah, you'll see the film that we made in a wee second with the garments. And is there anything else you would like to add, Mo?
I just wanted to second that notion on how awesome it was to again be able to collaborate. And me here, I'm still in the States and being able to present in Glasgow, like I'm in the park with you all. It was even an experience. Dylan and I really wanted to show not only how we can use fashion in order